Hello, good day, guys. Welcome back to another edition here. Today we have a Volkswagen Passat B6 that the intercooler or the cooler transmission cooler burned and it mixed coolant with transmission fluid. So here, what is the best approach to actually get this problem solved? The best approach, in my own opinion, my best practice is to flush the system. When we talk about system flushing here, a lot of you guys will think a lot of things, but I only gone with one way process, and that process is getting rid of the entire transmission fluid that is currently inside the system, then get another one in. I know what a lot of you guys are gonna say, simple, but it's not that simple, because it's gonna amount you to, if the car takes up to 6 liters of transmission fluid or 4, if it takes 6, you're gonna be needing like extra 3. If it takes 4, you're gonna be needing extra 2. So the extra 3, what are we gonna do with it? That's an intelligent question. You suppose you've asked that question. The remaining 3, if suppose it's 6, we're gonna be using it to flush the system. And how are we gonna be flushing the system? That's what I'm about to teach you guys in this very episode. So, transmission flushing. Over the internet and YouTube, you're gonna see a lot of people who are suggesting you use a high or pressurized air to flush the transmission fluid. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I'm gonna do a lot of things to my transmission system, but using a forced or a compressed air to force it through it to actually flush the transmission system is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna do, in as much as I want the healthy transmission system that I'm still gonna use and not to replace after the service. So that is the reason why I said I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now, what is the danger in doing that? Now, this is exactly what it is. When you decided that you want to flush the transmission system and you use a pressurized air, what you're actually doing, in other words, is pushing some debris and dirt that are inside the system from one circuit to another. And if you didn't ask, why do we need extra 3? I mean, it still didn't convince you completely. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you before. I don't know if most of you guys are gonna watch the entire process, but I'm gonna be using this to demonstrate exactly what you need to do in some other cars. So pay a very good attention. Now, when you get off all the transmission fluid out of the system, who says you get all of them out? It's technically impossible to get all of them out, in as much as you didn't get the transmission out of the system as much as getting the torque converter, because the torque converter is going to be housing a lot of transmission fluid that is present inside your car. So each time you're doing a transmission service and oil change, you often perceive or believe that you have actually got rid of the entire transmission fluid in the system when you use the drain plug. But unfortunately, that is not the case, because you just only get like 75% out, in some cases 70% out, and you have like 30% left sometimes. Yeah. So the new one you're getting in is missing with the old one, then that's not a good thing. So if suppose your own transmission fluid is completely bad, really, when I mean bad, I mean extremely bad, you'll be needing to perform a transmission flushing, and in so doing, you're gonna get rid of every debris and dirt that are clogged, that are hidden inside the system circuit, especially the torque converter. And when you get that out, then getting new transmission fluid into the system is gonna do its job as it's supposed to, prone to shifting your car smoothly, ensuring a smooth operation of your transmission system. So that is why this very topic which I'm teaching you guys is very, very important. So here, standing looking right here, there are 2 sockets that get in here. Now that's going to determine which pipe we're going to disconnect. Suppose you're working on FSI Jetta Passat, then that's good. You go ahead and disconnect this down one here, because that's the feed from the transmission system. Before it cools it, then this one takes it back into the transmission system. So if you press the pipe, you're going to see it going back into the transmission system. So now you're not going to disconnect it from here. We're going to find this pipe on the downside, then we go ahead and disconnect it. Then we're going to get a rubber, which I have already, for obvious reason, I've got a clean rubber which I have here, which you're going to connect to it. Then go ahead and lose the oil pan, the transmission fluid pan, then you take it up from there, because that's why I say this is not going to be easy. I know a lot of you guys are expecting it to be very simple. Who says fixing car is easy, especially if you're trying to get it done correctly? So now, coming down here, you want to trace these two pipes and see which of them leads to the intercooler or the cooler which I showed you guys. Then go ahead and disconnect it and connect it to the rubber which you're going to be using to catch the bad transmission fluid in your car, prone to throwing it off. If suppose you start getting a clean one, then you stop and know that you have successfully flushed the transmission system. So here further, you will need to lose this oil pan for the transmission fluid and fill it with the oil that you need to use to flush the system. It's going to get drawn by the pump. As it gets drawn, then it's going to attempt to push the one in the torque converter out, push it through the cooler, and that is where it's going to flow back into the rubber which you attach to it, or the can like this one which I said. Then you inspect it and see if there are still some sort of bad transmission fluid, or it's mixed with water. And if it is, or coolant, if it is mixed, then you're not done. You're still gonna get more in until you're sure that the rest of the transmission fluid which are getting out have any coolant content inside it. Then you're done, or bad coolant. Now, do you know the reason why I explain this thing to you guys? Because I know some of you guys might not have patience to follow up as I'm gonna go, because this is actually literally gonna take a serious time. All right. And because I know that time is no one's brother, that's why I decided to give this very highlight here, which you're going to use to address it. Regardless of the car make and model, this process is going to work like charm. So I'm going to go ahead and find a place. I'm going to hang this camera right now, and let's begin the show, just like I told you guys. Okay, here I've got my impact wrench got up. Let's go down there. Okay, it's more like going to a rescue mission. Down there. Let's sit there. Okay, now here, there's a whole mess. Okay, that looks cool. I'm not seeing any trace of water there, because I followed the procedure which I taught you guys here. I'm gonna go ahead and close this pipe. Choose this guy right here. Okay. It happens to be the one on top. So